OK, so if Six Nations is an audition for the most part for the Lions tour, let's look at what you think are the nailed-on Lions players at the moment. So this is your Lions team you think are nailed on. Now, everyone at home, the question marks, that's where you get involved. Who do you think should be filling those spots? Talk me through this one, boys.
Well, we wanted to let the viewers at home to decide really the majority of the team. So I've gone with a few of the forwards. I don't think anyone can argue that Furlong has back to his best. I mean, you know, sidestepping, Finn Russell and setting up tries and just being magnificent. He was so strong yesterday against England. So he's in. Itoje, despite the big penalty count against Wales, he's still a huge influence, and I genuinely believe he's just going to get better and better the more rugby he plays. And Faletau, Toby Faletau, or Taulupe Faletau, I think, Billy starting to show signs that he's getting back, but I think he's still got a way to go on his fitness, and I think Faletau is a starter.
Yeah, I mean, I've left a few blanks there. I think the number 9 shirt's up for grabs, the 10 shirt's up for grabs, and at 13, who's going to fill that role there at the moment? I think there's some non-international players who are currently playing at number 9 that could have a go. I don't think anyone's playing better rugby at number 9 than Danny Care currently. But my nailed-on places, Robbie Henshaw at 12. I just think he's so commanding, so physical, both sides of the ball. And the back three of what I picked for the Six Nations team of the tournament, Anthony Watson, Rees-Zammit and Stuart Hogg.
Is Dan Biggar the informed 10, you think, out of that group at the moment, of this Six Nations?
I think you've got test match players and you've got test match animals, and Dan Biggar is a test match animal. You just look at the way, not only he controls the game, but he goes out and grabs them and wins it. The line that he ran to score that try, he's a player that's unflappable, it seems, especially at the highest level.
I have to say, your two Irishmen showed us what quality players are. I know everyone thinks maybe their best years are behind them, but I think anyone who watched that game yesterday, you telling me that 8 out of 8 kicks from Johnny Sexton in general, the way he played the game, and Conor Murray, I mean, my word, for me, that's catapulted him right into the conversation, whereas he wasn't even in the conversation.
Yeah. This is a really interesting question from, I think it's Lex Hudson. If Lions play in the UK, does the good tourist, we talk about being a good tourist, you would have been a very good tourist, does a good tourist squad member lose value, or was this lost with the professional era?
You still got to try and unite 4 teams into one. And, you know, we've just been having a chat with Pat Lamb about how tough it's been for players to remain within their bubbles. The Lions will still remain within a bubble. You know, the tours that you and I were very fortunate to be a part of, where you can go to South Africa, go on safari, go dive in a great white sharks if you're crazy enough to do that. It's going to feel very restricted, but we live in an imperfect world. So having good personalities on that tour, for me, really helps knit all the...
They might be going to Alton Towers, though, rather than safari. I mean, but it's a reality,
well, it's
isn't
interesting, because I know that if you're a Lions selector, like Warren Gatland and the coaches, you'll look at players playing away from home, because the tour is ultimately away from home. You know, how do they respond in the most hostile environments? Yeah. Now, during COVID, we've already seen that out of 14 games in the Six Nations, 7 have been won by the away team. So it's not quite the same selection criteria, but it's an interesting one.
But it does flip it on its head. England going to beat, the British and Irish Lions going to South Africa to beat the world champions in South Africa. For me, if it's played in the UK, it flips it on its head. It's South Africa who have to come to the UK and Ireland and beat it. The British and Irish Lions become the favourites. They become the host nation. So the narrative...
The jeopardy flips.
And also, South Africa haven't played a lot of rugby. The South African players, other than the UK-based ones, have not been playing a lot of rugby. So they've got a bit of catching up to do.